What's up, girl?
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Hey, everybody. I'm Mimi Cowens, co-founder of the Black MS Narrative Project.
And I'm Victoria Campbell, co-founder of the Black MS Narrative Project.
Welcome to our podcast, y'all. Episode what?
Yeah,
4.
4.
Woo! Oh my gosh. And
Episode
someone would
4.
start trying to like cut their grass or like weed eat or whatever you call the thing right now. So yeah, that's what y'all might hear. See, that's when you're doing this kind of thing, especially when your home is your studio, you never know what you might hear, y'all. It's real life. This real life.
Yeah, it's real. All of it.
How you doing,
That is
girl? What's our
great.
what's our human being check in on today? How you
Yes, human being check-in. This is the part of our show where we're going to really just talk, right? We're not given that blanket, I'm well, I'm fine, I'm good. No. For real, today I feel like I always just come back from physical therapy whenever we talk. Just coming back from physical therapy. But I am. It was, and it's always rough, but I'm so grateful because there are improvements, and I'm just, I might have walked out a little sore and more tired than when I went in, but I'm in a good space. I'm excited because Mother's Day is on Sunday, and
Woo!
so
Yes,
um
Mother's Day.
yeah, that should be a good time. My husband does well.
Okay. I'm sure Brad and the kids are brewing up something real special for you and are like really having a
Mhm.
hard time keeping it secret. Probably especially Langston. But if he does let the rabbit out of the hat, just act surprised like I know you always do.
Oh,
Oh no, for me? Oh my goodness. I never would have thought.
Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, girl.
That's a
Mm.
universal mommy response, right? Wow.
I was
I
like,
swear,
explain this to me.
whatever this person is doing outside, God, just
Girl, we can't hear it. It's all right. We can't hear it.
well, I'm glad
I'm
y'all
sure
can't.
it's bothering you, but we can't hear it. Oh gosh, Mimi, how are you? How are you in this human being check-in time?
You know what? We have been getting a lot of rain here in Raleigh over the last couple days, and I'm a barometric pressure person. So, like when the temperature changes, when there is more rain in the forecast, boy, do I feel it like in my body. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm beginning to know like what grandmama and them meant when they said, "Oh, I can feel the rain. It's coming. I feel it in
Hmm.
my elbow." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?" Oh, well, I know what you're talking about, lady. I know what you're talking about now. But no, I was at church. I sang on yesterday, and it's funny because one of the young ladies that I sing with was actually battling a bit of a migraine because of the barometric pressure shift. So I was like, okay, whether you have MS or not, I think a lot of people, some people can be um,
More sensitive.
more sensitive to it, but
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when you have, I think, an autoimmune disease, one particularly like this one that affects your nervous system and causes pain and causes all kind of crazy other things to happen. You can feel it a little bit more. So yeah, today no rain, but it's still muggy. And the rain is in the air. Um,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
and and it's funny, I have a PT story too. So I actually, believe it or not, even though I was diagnosed in 2015, my first physical therapy appointment was last week.
Oh, really?
First ever.
How
And
did it go?
people are sneaking into my house with my computer cord. Okay, so like real story. So like my computer's like literally like on 24% and my cord just arrived here from Rayford with my peoples.
Yes,
Baby, can you
to
bring
the
me my cord,
rescue.
please, to the rescue right on time? Won't he do it? And they're
He said he
sneaking in so
was.
softly because I told him, I said, look, I'm going to start taping soon, but like when you enter the house, be quiet. And I just hear all these doors slowly creaking. So, um, but like, yeah, like I'm just my first PT was last week. And I really honestly, I think I shared this in like previous stories. And I know we haven't really had my interview yet to like really go into
Mm-hmm.
the story. But I was diagnosed at the age of 43 in 2015. And I'm 51 now, I'll be 52 in August. And I, for the first 7 years, didn't even medicate. I didn't start taking a DMT until 2019. And I've also become more symptomatic in these last few years as well. So I said, okay, well, let me just go on and get me a PT appointment in there just to see if it will help me manage some pain, manage some
Right.
stiffness, some
The
spasticity, give me some,
spasticity, yeah.
and so it's crazy because it's like literally my first and only ever appointment was just talking, which I
Hmm.
guess would be good because she doesn't know me, I don't know her, and it was just kind of like, let me just get a feel for who you are, right? But it was more of the, so yeah, I'm gonna give you these exercises. So I'm like, really, what you've been doing already works,
Hmm.
so like keep doing that. Like I'm like,
Okay.
like, yeah, you could come, but you're already doing all the things. So just do them more regularly, do them every day, whether
Okay.
you're in pain or not, do them and you'll feel better. And it's kind of like,
Uh,
she says, and if you just really want to come and see me, then we can do some dry needling, or we can do some massage, but
okay.
and some exercises. But like really what you're doing really works. You just have to do them more often. And I was just like, I mean, I guess that's kind of what I kind of think I wanted to hear, but I think I kind of was expecting more
Hmm.
from that first visit. But I
Right.
do think that she has a point, and you can probably attest to this, right? When you do the exercises and you do and the stretches and you do them every day, it
Mm-hmm. You're
does make a
consistent and
significant, it does impact, it does have a tremendous positive outcome for you in the long run. So that was my
persistent.
my takeaway from that. Hi, thank you. Right here. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
so
go over there.
interesting. And you know,
It's already plugged into. I'm sorry.
hi, Melvin.
Victoria said hello. It's already plugged into the thing. Oh, right here on the ground. Oh, here, give me this. Okay.
All right, we working it out.
We working it out. Keep going. Keep going. So
Yeah,
other than
so
that,
absolutely. We were talking about too, with Mother's Day coming up. We
mhm.
are really excited because I get to introduce you to someone that I haven't known very long, but I will say that in our short conversations, I feel like we were sisters. Like it's just really been an amazing opportunity. This woman that we have on today, our guest, is her name is Dr. Victoria Horton. She is, I have a little bio of hers. She is from Philadelphia. She went to a performing arts high school where she was an instrumental music major. She also graduated from Temple University with a nursing degree, a bachelor's in nursing, and she worked mostly in ICU. And then she went on to get her doctorates because she's the bomb. I don't want to tell her whole story because we're getting ready to get into it, but please, let's welcome Miss Victoria, excuse
Babe,
me,
you're in the frame.
Dr. Victoria.
Babe. There's filters being changed behind me. And yes, applause. Oh,
Yeah,
Dr. Victoria Horton.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for having me. So
yes,
excited.
of course.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And I'm like waiting for my husband to walk behind me. So don't even worry about it. Uh,
Hey, filters got to be
Work it
changed,
out.
right?
Right.
He said, I'm trying to do honeydew list. Forgive me. Yes, it has to
That's what he was.
happen.
That's what he.
Yeah. Well, I just told my husband to turn the TV down. It's downstairs.
Right.
Right. And you probably did it like this.
Close the door.
Right. No, I'm down here texting like.
Oh my goodness.
Play it
Oh,
off.
Victoria, thank you so much for making the time to be with us. I know that you are busy, and the best part about you being here is that you have a really great story. You have an amazing spirit and such a gift to give to the MS world. And not to mention the gift that you are carrying that will soon be birthed into this world. I'll let you tell that part. But yeah, why don't we start by you first just sharing with us when you were diagnosed and what your diagnosis is.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed. I don't remember much, but I remember the day 9/9/19. At 29 years old, I was diagnosed with relapse remitting multiple sclerosis, and that was concluded after a very tumultuous bout of MS, back-to-back relapses. I'm in the medical field, so I am a terrible patient. So it started off with my whole left arm would go completely dead, like dead weight. Couldn't move it. It would just like be numb. And I just thought, oh, it's a pinched nerve. It'll be okay. A month later, it was still going on. So I went out to the doctor and they did a x-ray. Felt like they needed more images. Did an MRI. Then I got a call back. Oh, we want to do a little bit more with this MRI. So now I'm like, okay, something's happening here. They did a more extensive MRI and then sent me over to neurology. And when I was first diagnosed, it really was, they were really vague about what was going on. Luckily, I'm in the field, so I can look at the impressions myself and kind of get an interpretation on my own. But eventually, it took about 2 months for me to get to a neurologist so that he can officially say that it was multiple sclerosis.
Wow. So when you say you're in the field, tell us what you do.
So I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm medically retired now. I medically retired in 2020 at the age of 30, which was a very difficult thing to do. I don't know if you guys want me to get into that, but that was
Yes. Tell
Yeah,
us.
tell us a little bit about that journey, that part of the journey.
So since that diagnosis, 2019, I had several hospitalizations, several rounds of IV steroids because I just kept having relapses. At that time, also, I was working as a nurse practitioner in the intensive care unit, a pediatric cardiac intensive care unit down here in Delaware at DuPont. And so, as we know, stress is a trigger for MS and lack of sleep. And I was working 24-hour shifts. And yeah,
Did you say 24-hour shifts?
24-hour shifts. Yeah, we would have a call room and you can try to sleep as your babies are on ECMO and yeah, no, you're not sleeping. So hence the reason why I just kept having relapse after relapse after relapse to the point where I even had to have a round of plasma exchange, plasmapheresis. I was in the hospital for that. And then 2020 came. I had an interesting battle with seeking ADA accommodations. It was not as easy as I thought it would be, not as straightforward. And I learned that sometimes jobs, there's loopholes in which they don't necessarily need to accommodate you. And so my reality was that I could no longer do the 24-hour shifts in this setting that I worked so hard to get to. I worked my whole life to get to a point in my career where I could be at this level of intensity in nursing practice. And that dream was no longer realistic. And for financial reasons and disability purposes, it didn't quite make sense for me to go another route, like maybe take a step back, be a bedside nurse, because that's physically intensive as well. And I was numb in my hands and my feet and weak and all that stuff. So looking at all the options, changing careers, which would also come with changes in salary and all those things, the best option that we felt was to medically retire. And so that came with an intense mental breakdown because everything that I worked for and everything that I thought made me who I was taken away so quickly, and I didn't know how to cope with that.
Wow. So, and as I'm doing the math, you retired at the age of 30 right during COVID.
Yes.
That was in 2020.
Yes.
Right?
In the midst of COVID.
Wow.
Yes.
So we're retiring at a pivotal moment in your career, a pivotal moment in your life because you'd just been diagnosed the year prior. And now we're in a global pandemic.
Yes, a global pandemic. And I'm also realizing what the losses of my function is with all the relapses that I've had. So I have a ton of scar tissue throughout my brain and a lot on my spinal cord too. But the cognitive impairment, the memory loss, the not being able to recall things, slow responses to things after years of working so hard to get to the position that I was in, that was happening. So not only was I grieving the loss of the dream job, but I was grieving the losses of my function, my capabilities, grieving the loss of myself at a young age. I was 30.
How do you now? By the way, before you answer that, we did lose Victoria. She's gonna jump back in as soon as her technology allows her to, but I know she wants us to keep going. But you said you were grieving the loss of you.
Yes.
She's texting me. Hold on just a second here. I don't want to stop you in the midst of this. Okay. Something's going on with her Wi-Fi. I tell you, the devil is really trying to come against this moment and come against this story. But you said you were grieving the loss of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Grieving the loss of you. Okay, she's back. There we go. I said, I know that you want us to keep going. So we did. And you were just about to get into what that means when you have worked so hard for this point in your career, worked so hard to achieve so much that depended on your mental faculties to be at tip top tier.
Yes.
And now you're dealing with brain fog and everything else. So talk about when you say you're grieving the loss of you, what does that mean?
That means so for me, I identify myself by my accomplishments before MS. And I kind of still am struggling with that now too. But for me, what I did for a living, the accolades, that was what I felt made me who I was. And so as that started to dwindle away out of my control, it was like, all right, well, what's my purpose? Who am I? Why is this happening? And what now? So one of the things that I had to really get into after that spiral of deciding to medically retire is some intense mental cognitive therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and that included trying to figure out resources to help patients like me who aren't just, in need of psychological help, but my psych issues have also been influenced by my brain damage as well. So neuropsychology, mental health NP, a counselor, family counselor. I followed all four because I spiraled pretty badly trying to figure out what was the next step. And it was even more particularly hard because at 30, everyone wants to tell you, oh, you can teach, oh, you can do this, oh, you're so smart, you can, but people don't see behind the smile, it's struggle, it's fatigue, it's, it's a lot that happens that people don't get to see.
And how old are you now?
I am now 34.
So this has all been within the last 5
years.
It's been a roller coaster. And on top of that, in 2020, I met my husband, then boyfriend. We moved in together that February. The world shut down in March. So now this man that I've never lived with before, we are living together. My life is stuck together. Apart. Yes, he's working from home, so we're 24/7 together, and he is watching me just lose it.
And you like, oh, we go together now. You here?
Look, if he was to go, it would have been during 2020.
Right.
What was that like? Like, I know that oh my gosh, so much that you just dropped is so rich, and I don't want to lose it while I'm thinking about it. Because for many Black women, especially Black women who have accomplished quite a bit in their life, okay?
Right.
Multiple degrees, career, you're at the top of your game. That is how many of us define ourselves. And so you quickly had to learn that that's not all of who you are. And then on top of that, you're in a global pandemic. It's COVID. You just found out you were diagnosed. And you just met the man that you don't even know yet is going to be your husband. He's just your boyfriend, but y'all have made a major life decision to cohabitate during conditions that none of us in the world have ever experienced before. What was that like?
It was a roller coaster. Like, God is so interesting, so funny. The way he moves, the way he works. As he was taking things out of my life, he was putting new things in place. And I just had to figure out how these dots connected. We were two different people, like I said, first time living with a guy, and he's trying to figure out how to manage me, and I'm trying to figure out how to manage me because I don't even know who I am right now, So we, through that therapy, thankfully, I believe in therapy, and that therapy really helped me figure out what I needed to do to just get my feet back on the ground, forget future steps. Like, how do I even just stand in the moment that I'm the space that I am now? How can I just be stable, like right here, and while getting the tools from these different therapists, he also would jump on at the end of the call and be like, well, what can I do as a support person when this happens? Him being just very like loving in that moment, and open to learning was like, it was a gift. And so I married that man. Well, we got married last year, but It was rocky. Like I can't even express how rocky it was because, as you said, we pride ourselves on being independent, and to lose that independence at such a young age, and people
Yeah.
not understanding what your world is like, it's so lonely. It's
Yeah.
lonely.
And Victoria, you were diagnosed at a young age too.
Yeah, I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was. And so I can definitely understand understand just where you are. I mean, although you were able to accomplish so much more than I was at that point at the age of 29. Even still, you're in this whole new space now, this uncharted territory. And I heard you talk about just the importance of therapy, but were you on a DMT at this point as well?
Yeah, so they started me, and when I got diagnosed, they started me on the pills, Abagio, and I had another relapse. And then they started me on Tysabri, and I had another relapse.
I'm on Tysabri now.
And I think part of that is because I was building the antibodies against the Tysabri. So I guess I wasn't really taking good to it, I guess.
How did you find that out?
Blood work. My neurologist, I'm followed by John Hopkins Neurology in Baltimore. And they have a pretty big MS center, and doing some blood work on you. So they sent some blood work, and they tested to see if I had the antibodies against it, and I did. So they switched me over to Ocrevus, and that was over a year. So it took time to get to Ocrevus, and since Ocrevus, I've been stable. But I also have been medically retired, so I've eliminated that huge stress of work too. So it could have been a lot of factors to help me get to a stable position.
Okay.
So the thing that you thought you needed the most turned out to be the thing that created a large part of your stress.
Yep.
So God medically retired you for a reason.
Yep. And that wasn't the first time he's done that. He's sat me down several times. Wow. Whenever I get ahead of myself and I'm moving fast, I get sick. Before I was diagnosed, something happens. But this one, God was like, no.
Well, and the medical field is very stressful. I mean, gosh, you got people's lives in your hands, and that is not something to take lightly. And so carrying all of that does manifest in your body. So when your MS came on pretty aggressively and pretty rapidly, though you say you had just a few markers along the way, outside of the whole arm numbness and the pinched nerve, can you recall anything that led up to this diagnosis that, okay, I see you
all the way back to undergrad. And before that, I had this thigh numbness that kept coming, and I'm just like, I'm just overweight. I'm just overweight. All through undergrad, you can ask any of my friends. I did not get a chance to go party like that because I was in the library studying. I thought that I was just not smart, but my problem was I was not retaining. I was not remembering anything. I graduated with good grades, with honors, but I lived in the library. And the things that people could just pick up on, I could not. So I
yours was cognitive initially.
Yeah.
And not so much physical. And so when it became physical to the place where you're like, I can't ignore this no more.
Right.
So yeah, it was a rapid physical onset. But if you're honest with yourself, you did have markers along the way throughout your college career cognitively that said, okay, this isn't, just maybe I have ADHD.
Mhm.
We good for diagnosing ourselves, ain't we? Okay.
Especially in the medical field.
And
Mhm.
especially well, she wasn't in the medical field then. She was just a college student.
She
We
was.
don't have to be in the medical field to think we doctor,
No, you're
Dr.
right.
So and so, Dr.
Hashtag
Google,
Google.
and Dr. Google don't help.
Mhm.
Okay, so
YouTube
now
University.
YouTube University, right? So now we are at 30. You're medically retired. We're in COVID. So, uh, what was going through your mind in terms of like your outlook for the future? I mean, I know that you say you were spiraling and a lot was going on in your head. Like, how did you come to grips to kind of come to this place of acceptance and healing that you're at now?
Mhm.
Well, it's still a journey. The biggest thing that I had to do is, well, I guess it's two things. One, allow myself to grieve the loss of who I was and who I thought I was supposed to be. And then two, figure out who I am now. What does this look like now? Who who is Victoria when you take away the degrees? Because I'm not using them right now. Who am I you know, when I'm sitting in silence? And that's an ongoing journey. But I've learned so much about myself and what's important to me. Family is important to me. Being an advocate for others to help them when they're in dark spaces, like others with MS, is important to me. Um, this time, this time that I've had being off from work, what does an accomplishment look like for me? Because before it was like a graduation, big things, but accomplishment could be me washing the dishes and folding the laundry all in one day. And
Mm.
that's all right. Like just little small wins, and just recognizing that I am putting one foot in front of the other. I am battling something that is greater than I even thought that I would ever be battling. And so really recognizing that even if you take everything away, I could still be okay. Now, there was a lot in between with the Social Security disability insurance process, lawyers,
Mhm.
the ADA thing, figuring out that that didn't go as smooth as I thought it would, and it could have been some discrimination there, and like
Oh, we're gonna get into that.
Probably.
so it wasn't just like from point A to point B, but it was like throughout all this stuff, like why is this happening? But being in 2024 now, I'm like, dang, like that was supposed to happen. That was supposed to happen because I
Sounds like
leaned
you.
too much on what the degrees and the letters and all that stuff meant. But when you remove all that, who am I as a person? You
Right.
know,
Sounds like you learned how to give yourself some grace.
a lot.
Mhm.
Have to.
Yes. Such an important lesson just to make it through the day, let alone the week, month, year, right?
Mm-hmm. And I keep having to. My husband has to remind me all the time that I'm not lazy. Me, and I'm pregnant with twins, but me being able, like I said, to wash clothes and wash my body and get dressed and do one thing, maybe, is an accomplishment.
Check.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It really, like in
Mhm.
reality, is because the amount of damage that I have makes it hard to do anything. So,
Yeah,
girl,
but listen, that
just
grace is so
remember that.
important, but the community, like you said, is that much more important too. To help remind you. Your husband was able to remind you that you are not lazy. Matter of fact, you are one of the strongest women he probably knows because of what you have to fight through, because of what we have to do. Community, like what we're trying to create, is where we can hear and we can listen and we can relate, right? And we can listen.
Uh-oh. She froze a little bit. But I will say this, one of the reasons that we created the Black MS Narrative Project is because stories like yours are going to heal people. And not only are they going to heal others, I'm sure that as you're telling this story, it helps you heal even more.
Yeah.
And so you talked about being pregnant. Take us to that moment, because I know that during these 5 years, the thought of your fertility crossed your mind a time or two.
Mm-hmm.
So were you surprised to learn that you were pregnant? Were you all trying?
Well, we was trying. So the last year in a year and a month has been pretty fast paced. So we got married 3/3/23 last year. I was turning 33, and I knew that I had to come off of my medications in order to get pregnant. Um, and I was still in school getting my doctorate, which that's another story. Getting my doctorate had nothing to do with using it, if that makes sense. Getting my doctorate had everything to do with me achieving something that MS could not take away from me.
Mm.
Because my license this year will probably go into officially retirement mode and inactive mode. But something that MS will never be able to take away from me is that degree.
Yeah.
Being called doctor, even if I don't do anything else with that degree.
Come on.
But as soon as I was done with my final presentation and defending it, we tried for pregnancy, and I had to be off my medication for 2 months before I even got pregnant, and I ended up getting pregnant 2 months off the medication. And not just pregnant, but pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
oh my God.
Did twins run in your family?
They did, and I wasn't even thinking about that. My brothers are twins. I have apparently there's 3 sets of aunts and uncles that are twins. I have a set of cousins that are twins.
Oh yeah, twins run in her family.
So you was having twins.
Yeah. So that happened. And so the question was like, all right, am I going to have a relapse while I'm pregnant? I'm stressed about that. And so come to find out, it really depends on what medication you're on. But for Ocrevus, there is a very low chance of relapse, according to some of the research articles that I've read and my neurologist, during pregnancy with Ocrevus. Not all medications. And then also with breastfeeding, it stimulates the same kind of hormones as if you're still pregnant.
Oh wow.
So as long as you're breastfeeding, that gives coverage as well, quiets your immune system so that you don't have a relapse also. So
That's awesome.
I can go a little while afterwards and have some confidence that there's a high likelihood that I won't have a relapse. So
we're gonna believe by faith that
Yes, girl.
yes, unless I'm going to be part of that 2% that has one, I'm just gonna just pray.
Well, I have a feeling, and I've been writing notes all while you've been talking, because you got some powerful angel numbers, and I don't even think you've put the dots together, like in terms of just how blessed and amazingly abundant that you are, even during this journey, how God has really been protecting you and advancing you. You say you got diagnosed 9/9/19.
Mm-hmm.
You found out that you were pregnant on 3/3/23 at the age of 33.
Got married 3.
I'm sorry, got married. Got married on 3/3/23 when you were turning 33. Right?
Yes.
You had to be off of your DMT, which at the time was Ocrevus, right?
Yes.
Not Tysabri, but Ocrevus.
Yes.
Okay. You had to be off of it for 2 months, and you found out at the 2-month mark, so that's 2 that you were pregnant with 2 babies.
Yes.
That's 2. And we're believing God that you're going to be in the low 2%.
Yes.
Like, I'm like tripping. Like, I'm like, this girl is just, she is so blessed. And I can't wait to hear like even more, like all this week. And I didn't even tell you this, Victoria, during our human being check-in. All this, I've been seeing 333 everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Every time I look at the clock, it's 333. Like, I looked at my watch the other day, it was 333. I was just like, okay. You know, and that, you know, I just believe in biblical numerology and the power of what many of these numbers mean. And I'm going to look them up after this interview. Okay. So let's get back to it because, girl, your story is so rich.
Right. Oh, we could delve so much deeper into each section of your story.
She is so dope. Okay. So you're pregnant with these babies. Do you know what you're having?
A boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl. And
oh yeah, I have a twin brother. Did I tell you that?
Yes, you did. You did.
And twins run in my family too. So I have fraternal boy-girl twins. My sister had fraternal twins. My nephew has identical girl twins. My great-grandmother was an identical twin.
See.
So yeah.
You said you have identical twins? I mean, fraternal twins, boy, girl?
My sister has boy-girl twins, yes. Okay, so back to 33. and so, okay, let me go back because I got married at 3/3/23 when you're turning 33. And how far along are you today?
33 weeks. I kid you not.
33 weeks. So you were supposed to tell this story today.
I kid you not. 33 weeks. I'm due July 26th. For whoever wants to do the math.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And wait, and y'all, we were supposed to actually interview her last week. Tell us what happened.
I got into a car accident the 26th of April, that Friday before. I was at a red light, completely stopped, and someone rammed right in the back of me. And so I started to feel it over that weekend and even more so on the Monday that we were supposed to meet. And part of the, as you know, the MS is the cognitive aspect. And so receiving a lot of sources of information from me is very overwhelming. So I was getting calls from insurance people, their insurance, my insurance, my family, you know, on top of I had company that my family was up here, you know, trying to help with testing and everything like that. So I just had a lot of stimulation and I was completely overwhelmed. So I called my MS sister in tears. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. Actually, it was my husband in the background. She's tired, y'all. She's tired.
Yeah. Are you okay? He's like, no, she's not.
He was like, no, she's not okay. And so, yeah, you guys gave me a pass for last week. So I come back to be stronger and in a better state. So I appreciate that.
Amen.
Girl, because if anyone was in an accident, like, don't be trying to, right? Like, but you're not only just anyone. We know and understand the condition that you're dealing with. I get it. You're pregnant with twins, right? And you never feel as bad that first day as you do 2-3 days later. So
right. And that's the nice part of talking to people who have MS, because it's like it's so much different when you talk to people who can relate to how you feel. I use this example a lot. It bothers me when I say, "Oh, I'm so tired," and someone without fatigue says, "Yeah, I'm tired too. I didn't even get any sleep last night. I'm exhausted." I'm like, it's not the same. We're not the same.
Like they're trying to connect, but it's
not it.
They don't have any idea what this fatigue feels like.
Right.
Yeah. To be able to just say it and know that you guys know what I'm talking about or can empathize. Like, it just feels good. And I think that was one of the things that I was lacking in the beginning when I was diagnosed, is that community. I didn't really have anybody in the beginning. So that's why I to me now.
I'm sorry to cut you off, hun. I'm just wondering, so what is your community now? Now it's been 5 years. Who do you have? I mean, I know you have your husband, but
Yeah, from an MS standpoint, I've been going to a weekly support group through John Hopkins, my neurologist. I also was lucky enough to connect with some of the family members of people I know who are just like, hey, I know someone who has MS. She's young, she's black, she's, trying to figure things out. Can I connect y'all? And then they've become like my roadies, like my partners.
yeah.
Same way that I met you, Victoria, through my friend from college. It's like
Mhm.
you find people through your community and connect that way. But there were other things that I did along the journey. I contacted the MS Society Patient Navigation services, and they gave like a list of different support groups in the area. I joined the National MS Society chapter in Philly, I think it was, for like a very brief time, but then I got overwhelmed from doing too much, so I just stuck to my weekly.
Yeah. Is that so? Real quick, is that Victoria? Do you think that that's Dr. Horton's mic? Do you think that, or is it? I'm just hearing. I don't know. Do y'all hear any kind of weird buzzing around me when I'm speaking?
Yes.
You are.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm hearing it when Dr. Horton speaks, and I don't
Do
really
you hear
hear
it when I speak?
No.
Not really.
So then it's probably my fault.
I mean, I hope that it's not like distracting to anybody. I mean, okay, I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
What did you just
Okay.
do,
Well,
Victoria?
listen, I had to switch to my phone because I'm having some major Wi-Fi issues. I'm so just like I pray that it hasn't been distracting as you're trying to tell your story, Victoria. But yeah, I turned my volume down. So
Well, everything just got clear just now.
okay.
Whatever you just did, do that more. Okay.
Listen,
Okay, so as you know, one of the things that I think has been very thematic as you tell your story, which has been an amazing story, and I think both Victoria and myself can resonate so much with many, many aspects of it. I mean,
Mhm.
many. If you were to summarize um, the top 5 in no particular order, the things that you've learned in these last 5 years that have helped you to get through from diagnosis to space
Today.
healing and today, what would be those top 5 takeaways for people who are newly diagnosed or don't know what to do?
So yeah, well, the first thing I could say is to really find what resources are available to you. And that's kind of a loaded statement because you don't know what you don't know, right? But start by finding a neurologist that you feel confident or trust, someone who listens to you, someone who does not blow you off, because they do exist. Providers that care do exist. So we need to make sure that we find one that is invested in our health. Um, I would even recommend going to a place that has like a MS center, specializes in MS, so that you can get the care. I feel like I got really good care at the MS center that I went to, and then also I would say reach out to the the National MS Patient Navigation support. If you just Google it, it should pop up. And these people you can call and they could give you resources, financial resources, insurance resources, community support resources. They can identify like ADA accommodations and all that goes into that and however way that would fit into your life. And then something that they've taught me is that I could benefit from neuropsychology, and then also other specialties to help with managing my symptoms. So getting those resources, I'm getting long-winded, sorry.
That's okay.
neuropsychologist, your physical therapist, all of those things, identifying what's available to you, finding your community, which can be tough. But you can start with Facebook groups. Facebook groups are pretty awesome. There's one that I love, Women of Color with Multiple Sclerosis.
Where is that?
Love that.
Oh, yes.
Love that group. But there's a ton of other MS support groups, but I love that one in particular. And then let's see.
So it's important to like really, not only to seek out community, but also be the community for others, like be that listening ear, right?
Yes, that's another one. Just helping others who are going through the same or similar, journeys as you, because it does hit differently when you talk to someone who can understand you. It's someone who, if I complain about something, it's not just me complaining. It's real life. It's okay for me to not be okay. It's okay for me to grieve about something and not always say I'm good. Like, one of the things I love that you guys do in the intro is like a check-in. Like, how are you really feeling? Because I stopped telling people, oh, I'm good, I'm great. I'm not. I'm getting by, today. I might not give you the whole story, but if I don't feel good, I don't have to lie about it, and then when you find your community, then you're able to talk about it openly a little bit more in a non-judgmental way. So being that advocate for other people, or that listening ear for other people as you go along your journey is a huge component as well.
Nice.
Oh, that's huge. Just like I texted you the other day, I said, "How are you feeling?" You were like, "I'm hanging in there." I said,
Yes,
"Are you
I'm
hanging in there?" Barely by a thread. Yeah.
You were like, "Are you hanging in there?" And I was like, "Well, since you asked."
Right. Paragraph.
I do that to Victoria too. I'm like, okay, so that was the real PC answer. What's the real answer?
Yeah, I'm
How are
guilty
you for real?
Yep.
So if there was something that you like to leave with people.
Yeah. And if I may, Victoria, when the first time we talked, one of the things that you left me with that I just really, I think made me what did it do? It opened my eyes to a different perspective, as you talked about the gift of MS. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. I actually picked that up from a sermon that I heard about the gift of COVID. What did COVID give you? What did it take away? But what did it give you? And I took that and thought about it with MS. What did MS take away? Because it took away a lot, but it also gave me some things too. MS took away my independence, cognitive abilities, physical capabilities. It took away my ability to regulate my mood. It took my career away, which was huge, and I still get choked up about it. But what did it give me? Without MS, I wouldn't have had this time to slow down, to see what love is like from someone who will love you through such storms. I wouldn't have found more about who I am when you remove all the fluff. See that I have a support system. See what actually matters to me. It's not just what I do for work. It's how I can make people feel, outside of that. What's my worth when I remove work? What is my worth? And MS gave me the opportunity to really explore that. And I'm still exploring it. I'm still monthly therapy, and it gave me time to enjoy my pregnancy. I don't have to work while I'm pregnant. It gave me time to finish my doctorate. It gave me time to enjoy my first year of marriage. It gave me time to, so it's kind of like, it took a lot from me, but it gave me some things too.
Gave you a lot of
So
gifts. Gave you a lot
yeah.
of gifts. And we had mentioned this, you touched on it briefly, and before we wrap, I wanted you to expound on this some more because again, we are a storytelling collective, okay, specifically surrounding the Black experience. Um, how have you seen yourself treated differently regarding this diagnosis? Um, it, that you would say you experienced some discrimination because of being a Black woman.
Yeah, it broke my heart really. I would say at my job, which I would never speak ill of, because I loved my job. I gave my all to my job, and I feel like once I said that I had MS, things changed. I went from being, you know, I would help with the training of other new residents and new nurse practitioners, and um, I never had any write-ups, never had any incidents. I was really proud of the work that I did. I did a good job. But then when I got sick and I needed accommodations, um, and like, after the 24-hour shifts, I would get a little foggy at the end. So I stopped taking the 24-hour shifts and started to just switch with people. I was hoping that people would understand. There were shifts available to take that weren't 24-hour shifts. There were 16-hour shifts and 12-hour shifts and 10-hour shifts available. I've seen other people, get accommodated whenever they needed, had family stuff going on. But for me, for some reason, all of a sudden, I wasn't valued enough to accommodate. And there was loopholes. HR, who I thought was supposed to help me, helps the organization, not me. So the options was either come back and do my 24-hour shifts or go out on disability long term. And
Wow.
I just
That's
seen it
tough.
play out differently for other people who did not look like me.
Come
And
on, let's just say it. We're gonna speak truth. We're gonna speak truth to power here, and I think that is also speaks to a lot of your journey and what you learned about yourself, but what you learned about others, and how this disease shows up differently in people of color. Um, but on the flip side of things, look at all of the, like you said, the gift of MS. Look at all the things that eliminating certain things from your life gave you. Doesn't make it feel like, okay, yeah, okay, that's great. But at the end of the day, it's about your mental health, the health of your babies, the health of your marriage, the health of Dr. Horton.
yeah.
And so
Right.
then that's the real gift. That's the real gift. So
True.
I just want to thank you for being here today and being so transparent, so
Yes.
vulnerable, so amazing in how you've told your story and how eloquent and honest that you've been. And this is what this podcast is all about, y'all. Like, this is all the Black MS experience is all about. We're a storytelling collective for African Americans impacted by MS. We are a space where you can be heard and we can be celebrated in this together because we understand one another. And like you said, it's easier when you know someone is going through what you're going through to be able to hear their story and find healing.
Right. And that's the thing. We are telling the story and where healing is taking place. And then you're hearing the story for yourself and then for other people who are hearing it. that healing is a two-way street. And we are so grateful, like Mimi said, for your transparency. You are absolutely beautiful. And we are praying for you in this pregnancy and that everything continues to work out with breastfeeding. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much for having me and for giving us this platform to even express our stories. Because, like I said, hearing stories like this when I first got diagnosed would have been so encouraging. Just to know that I'm not by myself. Um, so I appreciate everything you guys are doing for our community.
Thank you. So if you all like what you're hearing, please like, share, and subscribe. Please tell everybody you know, especially those who are living and thriving with the disease or are in the orbit of someone who is living and thriving with the disease.
Hmm.
Because you know what? We want this to become a movement. We want people to grab hold of this and understand the importance of storytelling and how healing it is.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right.
And if you want to donate to our cause, we can donate
Oh,
at
yes.
Cash App there, $ the BMSMP, which is the Black MS Narrative Project. We appreciate donations of any size. And we appreciate
Mhm.
you so much, Dr. Horton, for being here. Oh, and I meant to say real quick, I got a Dr. Horton in my life, my sans. You are a member of the D9, the Zeta Phi Beta sorority. I am a Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and my sans is Dr. Akeisha Horton. So you are the second Dr. Horton in my life.
Oh,
My sister Greek.
beautiful.
Yes, honey, sisters in the
All
D9.
right.
All right, y'all, take
Mhm.
care.
Yeah, let's heal together.
Let's heal together.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.